All right, friends. So we are going to be dividing fractions in this one. Want to give you a couple examples so you can see this a couple of different ways and put it all together before the final exam. So let's start out with something really basic. Like let's take 3/4 divided by 1/4. Okay. And what this is asking is how many 1/4s are there in 3/4? Okay. All right. So I'm going to start out by drawing my 3/4. Oops, that's not a rectangle. Let's try again. All right. And so we're going to start by taking our box and dividing it into fourths vertically, like we usually do. And I'm going to shade my 3/4. 3/4. There they are. All right. Now, question becomes how many 1/4 are there? So right now, our whole is the entire rectangle to get our 3/4. But now I want to know how many 1/4s are there. So 1/4 becomes my new one. So here's 1/4. Here's 1/4. And here's 1/4. They're already cut into fourths. So I can just say, hey, there are 3 1/4s. So there are three. Right. Now, the way we were doing this in class is we said, hey, can be thought of as how many shaded blocks do you have? 3 divided by your new one, right? So your new one is the 1/4, right? What goes in each group is 1/4. And so that is one box, right? Each box is a fourth. So I divide it by 1, which will also give us that 3. Now, when you take and use the algorithm, you have 3/4, and dividing by 1/4 becomes multiplying by 4/1. Okay. And you can either think about this as cross canceling your fours, or you can multiply across to get 12/4. And 12/4 is 3. Okay. So we do get the same answer across the board. Okay. Now, where things get more complicated is what happens when we don't have the piece size doesn't match. So right now our piece sizes were the same. And so it made it easy to see. So now what happens if we take 3/4 divided by 1/3? Okay, so now I have 3/4 of a whole. Let's draw that. Shade my 3/4. Okay. All right. Now here's the problem. I need to make groups of 1/3, but I don't have thirds here. So I have to create thirds. So I'm going to divide each box into 3 more pieces. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. Actually, hold on a second. Let's do this in a different color so we can see it a little better. Let's do it in red. Okay, there's 3. There's 3. There's 3. And I'm going to cut this one too so that everything now has pieces. So now I have a total of 12 pieces. So if I have 12 pieces, a third of them would be 4 of them. So this 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my fourth. Sorry, my third. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's another third. Okay. So far I have, there's a third. Here's a third. And then this whole thing is a third, but I don't have all of that one, right? Not all of that one is shaded. What fraction of it is shaded? Well, it's divided into 4 pieces. And one of them is shaded. Okay, so altogether, then we have 2 1/4. Okay, I have 2 whole thirds, and I have 1/4 of a third. Okay, now the other way we thought about this in class was to say, okay, I have one, now that it's broken down into 12 pieces, I've shaded 9 of them, 9 out of 12. So the top is my shaded ones. And now instead of having this being out of 1, I want my 1/3 to be the group. So I need to know how many pieces make up my third. And that's what goes on the bottom. So in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces will make up my 1/3. Okay. And so then your 9/4, well, four goes, if I have 9 pieces, then 8 of them each make a hole. So that'll give me 2 holes that I can fill. And I have 1/4 left over. And you can see that we get the same answer either way that we think about it. Okay. So then if we go to the algorithm, you're taking 3/4 divided by 1/3. And when we use the algorithm, we keep the first fraction, we change the division to multiplication, and we flip the second fraction. Then we can go ahead and do the multiplication. So 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 1 is 4. And now again, we get that same 9/4. And we have 8 pieces, and 4 pieces make a hole. So that gives us 2 holes and 1 out of the 4 left over. Okay, so it matches up with what we've done there. Okay. All right, next, let's take a look at something like 3/4 divided by 2/3, okay, instead of 1/3. So 3/4. That's not a square rectangle. Let's try that again. So here's our rectangle for 3/4. All right, so there's 3/4. And we want to know how many groups of 2/3 are there? Okay, how many groups of 2/3 are there in 3/4? Okay, so same idea here. We've got 3/4. We're going to divide it into thirds because I need to have groups of 2/3. So we're going to go ahead and split this into thirds. So each box I'm going to divide into thirds. Because fourths doesn't have anything to do with thirds, so I'm going to have to cut each individual box. Okay. So now I need to think about how many of my new boxes make up 2/3. Okay. So I have 12 boxes, right? 2/3 of those 12 boxes. Well, if I divided 12 into groups of 3, there would be 4 of them. And I need 2 of them. So 8 of my boxes makes up 2/3. So all of this is 2/3. Okay, so clearly I have a whole one, right? I have 1/2. And then I have part of one, right? I right now I have 1 out of 4 boxes, but that's not a third, or that's not 2/3, right? 4 boxes doesn't make up 2/3. So I need to see what looks like 2/3. Well, 8 of my boxes make up 2/3. So if I draw out another 4 of these boxes, right? That would be my second another 2/3, right? That would be 2 sets of 2/3. But I don't, so here's where my first 2/3 ends. And so now I have 1 shaded box out of a total of 8. So it's an eighth of a 2/3. Okay. And so altogether we have 1 and 1/8. 1 whole group of 2/3, and an eighth of a 2/3. Okay. All right. Now, if we think it about it the other way, right? Our top number is our number of shaded boxes. In this case, we have 9 of them that are shaded. And the bottom is what my 2/3 is, what my group is. And in this case, 2/3 is 8 boxes. So I get an 8 on the bottom. Okay. And then out of that 9, we can use 8 of them to make a whole. And that leaves me 1 left over. Okay. And again, if you're taking 3/4 divided by 2/3, you're going to change it to multiplication and flip your fraction. And that leaves you with 9/8, which we turn into 1 and 1/8. All right, let's take a look at one more as an example. So Let's take a look at 2/3 divided by 2/5. Okay. So we're going to start from the same direction. We're starting out with that box that we're going to draw our 2/3. Okay. And again, this is asking how many groups of 2/5 is in 2/3. Okay. So we start by drawing our 2/3. Okay, there's my 2/3. Now I need to work in fifths here. So I'm going to divide each one into 5 pieces. Okay, and I'm going to keep going, divide this one as well. Okay. All right, and we're dividing into fifths. Now, where we're looking for groups of 2/5. Okay, I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 pieces. Okay, so if that's 15 pieces, then I need to know what 2/5 of those 15 pieces are. If I took 15 things and divide them into 5 equal groups, there's 3 in a group. Okay, and I need 2 of those. So that's 6 pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a 2/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This. 1, 2, 3. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is a 2/5, right? Okay, so what do I have? Well, I have one whole 2/5 shaded in. And then of my second one, it's divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 shaded. So that means I have 1 and 4 sixths. Now you can reduce your 4 sixths, divide each by 2 to get 1 and 2/3. Okay. Now, the way that we've thought about the other way is to say, okay, how many total blocks do you have shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 fully shaded. Okay. And how many of those boxes are a 2/5? So 2/5 is 6 boxes. Now that I can go ahead and reduce down to 5/3. And that's going to be 3 of those 5 make up a whole, and we have 2 left over as a third. Okay. And I get exactly the same answer. And then you can see that if we took 2/3, instead of dividing by 2/5, we multiply by 5 halves, right? And when we multiply across, that's 10/6. Divide top and bottom by 2 to get 5/3. And then we convert that to 1 and 2/3. Okay. So that's what we're doing. Okay. It's always how many groups of the second number can you make from the first number? Okay. You're going to start by drawing and shading your first fraction. And then you're dividing each piece into multiple pieces. Okay. In this case, 5 of them, whatever that denominator of your second fraction is what you're dividing each of the pieces in the first one. Okay. Then you're saying, how many pieces did I shade? Okay. And how many pieces make up my second number? Okay. And that's what you're dividing out. Okay. Because the top is what you have, and that's your 2/3, your shaded part, divided by however many pieces are on the bottom, because that's your 2/5, right? Whatever that divisor is. Okay. All right. Hope that helps.